Welcome to the lesson. Today I'm going to go over some theory, applied theory, for the guitar. Really cool stuff. We're going to do this in a key of C, and the first note is going to be the C note. Now I want you to take your middle finger and place it on, like I said, it'll be the 5th string, 3rd fret, that note right there, and just sound it with your middle finger. That's C. That's going to be our starting place. Now we're going to do what they call triads, tri meaning 3, and they're going to be arpeggios. An arpeggio is basically, well, a basic arpeggio is basically the root, 3rd, and 5th tone of a scale, and then you repeat root, 3rd, 5, root, 3rd, 5, and it just keeps going in octaves or down octaves. Just for a little bit of review, if you learn the C major scale, which is this, think of them in numbers. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, octave. So there's only 7 tones in the natural scale, and then you repeat. 8 is 1, this is the 8, 1, they're octaves. So the 9 would be the 2nd, the 10 would be the 3rd, and so on and so forth. It just repeats in octaves. Now to go back to what I was talking about, the triad, the arpeggios, root, 3rd, 5th, root, 3rd, and so on and so forth. So we're just going to take the 1st, root, 3rd, 5th. We're not going to go into octaves for this lesson. So we've got this note here, and this one, and this one. Root, 3rd, 5, that's an arpeggio. That's how you play chords. This C chord that you should know by now, that's a variation of root, 3rd, 5th. So we got the root, 3rd, 5th, and you got the C chord. Same thing if you were to fret it. This in a different order. Instead of root, 3rd, 5th, it's root, 5th, root, 3rd. So there's all sorts of different ways you can play it. But back to this exercise, this triad here. We're going to finger it as such. It's only going to take place on 2 different strings, 3 notes, root, 3rd, 5th. The first note you're going to fret with your middle finger. The second note, which is going to be the 3rd note of this scale, is going to be fretted with the index finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret. So you got these 2 notes. Root, 3rd. Now we're going to get the 5th. That's going to be fretted on the same string as the index finger, the 4th string, but with a pinky on the 5th fret. Root, 3rd, 5th on the 5th fret. Root, 3rd, 5th. So that's a C major arpeggio. Root, 3rd, 5th. And it's a major pattern because of the 3rd tone. That one, that's the 3rd. If it were minor, it would be flat, 1/2 step. It would, instead of this, it would be that. So then you'd have this. That's minor. And major, minor, major. You get it. And that's how you decide if an arpeggio or a chord is either major or minor. It's that 3rd tone. It's the major 3rd interval, and here's the minor 3rd interval. And that 5th is going to be the same, whether it's major or minor. It's going to be right there. It's going to be the 5th. That's why they call it a perfect 5. So, back to this exercise. Root, 3rd, 5th. And the 3rd is always going to be major by default unless otherwise specified. If I said play a minor 3rd, then you know to play the minor 3rd. But we're just going to play 3rd. By default, major 3rd. Root, 3rd, 5. Now, we're going to go to the next tone in the scale, and we're going to do this diatonically. Diatonically means we're going to stay in the key of C. So we're going to shift up, and it's still going to be the middle finger followed by the index followed by the pinky. That's not going to change for this exercise. But we're going to go up the scale here, so we're going to start on the 2nd tone of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, third 5, starting with each of those tones throughout that scale, keeping it diatonic. So the first one is C major. The second triad is going to be D minor. And I'm not particularly interested in you knowing if it's D, C, G, A, whatever. The pattern that I want you to get familiar with is the pattern of the natural scale starting with a minor tone. I'm sorry, starting with a major triad. It's going to be major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. This one is going to be a diminished triad, a diminished triad. And it's the only one that's going to be different. Kind of an eerie sound. The major again, we start all over with the octave. Same thing, just in octaves. So, we got the major triad, which we know, root, third, fifth. Now this one's going to be a root, minor, third, fifth. Remember, major, minor, major, minor. I'm just flatting the third by 1 fret or 1/2 step. That's going to be minor. And the next one is going to be minor. Next one is going to be major, major, minor, and then that weird one. And this one's actually going to be fretted starting with the ring finger, and that's going to be on the 14th fret. And then we're going to go to the index finger again, to the 4th string, 12th fret. So we got this. And then with the pinky finger, that's going to be on the 4th string also on the 15th fret. And then the next position, major, the octave of the first. So, if I were to play it with a metronome, let me turn my metronome on. I'm going to start this at 50 beats a minute. You can play it slower if you need to, but at first don't play it faster than this because you really got to get the timing of this down before you can play it faster. And it sounds really good when you put it all together, so I'm going to play it for you, ascending and then descending. And I'm going to count it first. This is going to be 3 notes a beat, root, third, 5. So root, third, 5, root, third, 5, root, third, 5, and so on. And listen to the clicker at least 4 times and count it out before you come in so that you're mentally engaged with the metronome, and then you can more easily fall into it when you start playing your instrument. So I'm going to count it out, and I'll start. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and then back down, of course. I don't know if you caught it, but I actually messed up on a note there because I'm not used to playing it so slow. So by my example, once you get going really fast, it's good to practice at all speeds so that you don't lack anywhere. It's good to be able to play anything at any speed. Now, we're going to do the same thing, but it's going to be an inversion, and I'll show you what I mean by that. We're still going to do, turn that metronome down, we're still going to do root third 5, it's still going to be in the key of C major, and the natural scale. And it's going to be the same exact notes. It's just going to be fretted a little differently. The third tone is going to be on the same string as the first tone. that third tone is very easy to play either there on the fourth string with the index finger, or on the fifth string with the pinky finger. Now if you play it this way, this inverted way, you're going to want to start with the index finger on the root, then pinky on the third, and then middle finger on the fifth. And the fifth is still going to be on the fourth string. So you got this way that I showed you first, and then here's the inverted. That's it. It's good to be able to finger them both ways. You'll just be a more rounded guitar player. So I'm going to, there's still going to be 3 patterns just like in the last one. Mostly the major and the minor, and then there's going to be that one weird one with a diminished. But here's what the first pattern looks like. You've got the index finger on the 3rd fret, 5th string, pinky finger on the 7th fret, the same 5th string, and then the middle finger on the 4th fret. On the 5th fret, 4th string. So you got this. And then the minor shape will just go up, starting there. It's going to be index, pinky, ring finger. Instead of using the middle finger on the 5th, it's going to be the ring finger. It's just easier to finger it that way. And then the odd one, once we get up here, that's going to be index, pinky, middle, and this one is really easy to finger. So those are the 3 shapes for this one. And with my metronome, actually let me just go through these first. It's still going to be, memorize this, it's still going to be major, minor, minor, put this pick down. It's still going to be major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. The 7th is the diminished, and then major again, the octave, which is the 8. Memorize that. It'll make it a lot easier to improvise, to write your own music, to follow along with other music, just knowing that. Memorize that pattern. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. Number 7 is diminished. Number 8 is the octave, back to major again. Here it goes. Major, minor, minor, major, major. I'm sorry. Let me start all over. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, and the weird diminished one, and the octave, major again. So now I'm going to do this with the trusty metronome. Still at 50 beats a minute. I'm going to count it out. Root third 5, 1 and 2, and here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and descend. Practice that every day, and before long you'll be playing it cleaner and more evenly than I just did. That concludes this lesson. My metronome didn't want to die. It wants to live. But that includes this lesson. I was going to do more, but it's already been well over 10 minutes, and I don't want to give you too much in one sitting. So this is all going to be fretted out for you in tabs and an attachment. So study that, play this, play it with your metronome, play it evenly, count out before you start playing so that you can lock into it mentally and play it for an easier transition. I'll see you next lesson.